Hello, this is Alex Markeski from Marine Log. I'm here at Workboat 2023 with Ben Christian, the VP of New Business and Construction for TOTE Services. Ben, thank you so much for being here today.
Appreciate it.
So what we really want to get into with TOTE Services is their Empire State NSMV recent on-time and on-budget delivery. Ben, can you talk about what that process was like for your company and any challenges that arose along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw the need for a great pipeline of mariners, and our state maritime academies are a huge part of that. So when MARAD put out the need for a vessel construction manager to manage the build, we thought we have the right experience. We've built ships in the U.S. We can figure it out. We can enable their success, and then partner with the state maritime academies to make it happen. So the delivery of the Empire State NSMV-1 was the culmination of years of that effort.
Okay. That's perfect. So in terms of years of effort, obviously you're involving many different members of the organization, a lot of different partners and things like that. How do you go about keeping a massive project like that organized and on schedule?
So for us, it's managing our staff and our partnerships. So obviously the selection of Philly Shipyard was key to our success. They're the shipbuilder, and we had to choose the right shipbuilder to start with. That's where a lot of these projects go off the rails.
Yep.
And then be clear about the expectations and requirements. Where we see a lot of struggles with government shipbuilding programs is that the requirements are changing constantly throughout the program. Mm-hmm. We were very clear with our process, and MARAD was very accepting of defining the requirements up front, providing a guidance design with a sufficient amount of detail that we could get into construction without a bunch of change orders, and really follow a commercial process rather than a government process. That's what the VCM enabled.
Okay, perfect. And for those that may not know, could you get into the specifics of the VCM program and how that allowed your entire project to be delivered on budget?
Absolutely. So typically the government will oversee their own construction. They'll do the shipyard selection. They'll use government processes and government procurement. And there's a lot of inefficiency and added cost related to that.
Yep.
So in the VCM, they hire a commercial company with shipbuilding experience to be that construction manager and that prime contractor. So that was TOTE's role. We found we hired the shipyard. We hired the rest of the team of vendors to deliver the ship. We were able to use primarily commercial processes rather than government processes. And there's a huge efficiency benefit and commercial best practices that we could bring to bear.
Perfect. So you were kind of able to make things move along a little quicker and more efficiently as opposed to a government-based program?
Absolutely. And we let the shipbuilder be the shipbuilder, and we took on a lot of the programmatic government requirements that normally a government shipbuilder would face, and that allowed us to expand the number of shipyards and quality of shipyards that were competing, including Philly, that had never done a new construction government project.
Oh, really?
So
that was their first one?
That was their first one.
Oh, okay.
And rather than throwing them all the way into the deep end and loading them up with all the overhead and requirements, we took on a lot of that burden. We worked with MARAD to whittle that down to just the necessities.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference. So the shipbuilder could focus on building the ships. The VCM can focus on feeding the government the needed information that they still need for any government procurement. And everybody was very good and disciplined about staying in their lane, both on the government and the contractor side.
Oh, that's great to hear. So in terms of 2024 and onward, because we know that sometimes these projects are planned years and years in advance, what's kind of on the docket for TOTE Services in the future here, and especially with different NSMV projects and utilizing that program and things of that nature?
So in 2024, we're going to deliver NSMV2, the Patriot State, for Mass Maritime Academy. Empire State is going to be in service and operating. And then we have 3 more NSMVs to deliver after Patriot State, so it's a total of 5.
Perfect.
But we know that we can't start a project when we finish the last NSMV, because the sales cycle, the government procurement cycle, is so long.
Okay.
So right now it's critical that the next programs, especially the 10 sea lift ships for the Ready Reserve Fleet, are authorized and start moving with the solicitation for a VCM. That's what we're watching. That's what we're pushing, so that our commercial industry has a steady flow of business to the shipyards. If they don't have that, the workforce atrophies, the skill set, the productivity, we lose all of the benefits of these programs. So keeping the hot production line moving at Philly and other shipyards is key. So there's got to be multiple government programs overlapping and starting, and using the VCM speeds the work to those yards.
Okay.
So when there's a possibility of a gap, we want to minimize that.
Perfect. And then last question here to wrap up. How increasingly important has it become for TOTE Services to have great relationships with these shipyards, and how do you maintain that?
That's one of the primary reasons we're here at Workboat.
Okay.
There are customers that we're talking to, but it's primarily about engaging the shipyards and our network of vendors, because that's what enables our success. For our ships that are operating every day, to have spare parts, to have service technicians, and have shipyards that can build the next generation of vessels that we need.
All right, perfect, Ben. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're here at Workboat 2023. We're on marinelog.com. Thanks again for tuning in.